Welcome back to Dassi Insights, where we talk complex ideas to turn them into clear, simple reflections that help you think deeper and act smarter. Today, we explore a powerful idea. Walking and cycling are a slow death for the economy. Before we begin, if you enjoy thoughtful insights like this, take a moment to subscribe and like the channel. It helps us grow and bring you more conversations that challenge the way we see the world. Now, let us begin. When people hear the idea that walking and cycling could harm the economy, it may sound strange at first. Many people believe the opposite. They say walking and cycling are good for health, good for environment, and even good for cities. Studies show that investments in walking and biking can create jobs, increase local businesses activity, and improve public health. So why would anyone say they are a slow death for the economy? This idea doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from a different way of looking at how economies grow and how money moves. Let's explore these together step by step. Think about how a modern economy works. A big part of economic growth comes from movement. People travel longer distances to work. Goods are transported across cities and countries. Fuel is consumed. Vehicles are purchased, repaired, insured, and replaced. Every one of these activities creates economic transactions. Now, imagine a simple change. Instead of driving to a nearby store, you walk. Instead of using a car for short trips, you cycle. At a personal level, this feels smart. You save money, you reduce stress, and you improve your health. But at the system level, something interesting happens. Fewer transactions take place. Less fuel is purchased. Fewer maintenance services are needed. Fewer car trips happen. In simple terms, money moves less in that system. And this is where the idea of a slow death begins to appear. Not as a sudden collapse, but as a grateful reduction in certain types of economic activity. Let's continue thinking in a very simple way. If a person spends less on fuel, that fuel economy earns less from that person. If many people do the same, total demand goes down. If cars are used less, there may be fewer repairs, fewer sales of parts, less businesses for some industries. If long-distance commuting decreases, some sectors that depend on that system may shrink. So, the argument is not that walking and cycling destroy the economy outright. It's that they can slowly reduce activity in specific economic sectors that depend on high consumption and long travel. But this is only one side of the story, because when one type of economy activity goes down, another type often rises. When more people walk, local shops may see more foot traffic. Research shows that walkable areas can increase retail activity and encourage people to spend more time in local businesses. When more people cycle, cities may invest in bike lanes and public spaces. These projects can create jobs and increase economic opportunities. When people are healthier, they miss fewer work days and become more productive. Some studies link cycling with fewer sick days and higher productivity. So, we must ask ourselves an important question. Is that economy shrinking or is it changing? This is the deeper insight that often gets lost in debates like this. An economy is not a fixed structure, it's a living system. It evolves with human behavior. If people drive less, yes, some industries may slow down, but other industries can grow. Instead of spending money on fuel, people may spend it on food, education, experiences, or savings. Instead of building more highways, cities may invest in parks, walkways, and compact neighborhoods. In fact, studies show that active transport like walking and cycling can bring significant economic benefits, including reduced costs and improved efficiency in transportation systems. So, the idea of a slow death is not necessarily about the whole economy. It may be about the decline of an old model. Let us reflect on that for a moment. For many years, economic growth has been closely tied to consumption. More cars, more fuel, more movement, more spending. But what if growth in the future looks different? What if the goal is not just more activity, but smarter activity? Walking and cycling reduce the need for expensive infrastructure. They cost less to support compared to car-based systems. They also reduce congestion, pollution, and health costs. When fewer people are sick, when fewer accidents happen, and when cities become easier to navigate, society becomes more efficient. Efficiency, in its own way, is also a form of economic strength. Now, imagine two different cities. In one city, people depend heavily on cars, traffic is constant, fuel consumption is high, people spend a lot on transportation, there is always movement, but also stress, pollution, and high costs. In the other city, people walk or cycle for short trips. Distances are shorter, local shops are nearby, streets are quieter, people spend less on transportation. Which city has a stronger economy? At first, the car-based city may look busier. More transactions happen. More money flows through transport-related industries. But the walkable city may be more balanced. People save money. They invest in other areas. They live healthier lives. And over time, that balance can create a different form of economic resilience. This brings us to an important realization. Economic health is not only about how much money moves, it's also about how well that system supports people. Walking and cycling shift the focus from volume to value. They reduce unnecessary spending while encouraging local and sustainable growth. But we must also be honest. The transaction is not always smooth. Industries that depend on high fuel use or long distance travel may face challenges. Jobs may need to change. Skills may need to evolve. This is where policy, planning, and leadership become very important. The goal is not to stop economic activity, but to redirect it. For example, investing in cycling infrastructure can create jobs and support new industries. Designing walkable neighborhoods can increase property values and attract businesses. Creating safe spaces for pedestrians can encourage tourism and local government and engagement. So instead of asking, are walking and cycling killing the economy, we can ask a better question. What kind of economy are we building? If we only measure growth by consumption, then yes, reducing travel and spending may look like a problem. But if we measure growth by well-being, efficiency, and sustainability, then walking and cycling may actually strengthen the economy in the long run. This is a powerful shift in thinking, and it's exactly the kind of reflection that defines Dassi Insights. Because progress is not always about moving faster. Sometimes progress is about slowing down in the right way. Walking and cycling represent more than a transport choice. They represent a mindset that values simplicity, health, and a smart use of resources. A mindset that challenges the idea that more spending always means more value. So, as we close today's conversation, I want you to reflect on this. The economy is not just machines, fuel, and transportation. The economy is people. And when people are healthy, connected, and efficient, the system can grow in new and better ways. Walking and cycling may reduce some types of economic activity, but they also create a space for new forms of growth. And that is not a slow death, that's transformation. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this perspective made you think differently, subscribe to Dassi Insights, like the video, and share it with someone who enjoys deep conversations. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep moving forward, one step at a time. Take care.